Well, hi everyone, and thanks for being here today for our peer mentor panel. I'm joined with a group of great and very dedicated peer mentors from different colleges at UNLV. We'll give them a chance to introduce themselves and we'll spend a lot of our time today hearing from their own experiences, how they've navigated UNLV systems, how they've managed to find success and find their niches on campus. And I think we'll have a good conversation today. My name is Eli Williams. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the peer mentoring coordinator in the Office of the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education and Student Success. I'm joined with my co-facilitator, Kat, so I'll turn it over to you, Kat, for an introduction.
Hi, my name is Catherine Burdick. I am a first year coordinator / advisor with the Office of Undergraduate Education and Student Success.
Thanks, Kat. So over the next hour or so, we'll talk to our peer mentors about their experiences at UNLV, lessons they've learned and want to impart on other students to help them be successful. So to kick us off, why don't we start with a round of introductions, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and sharing briefly some of the involvement or work or research that you've been involved with at UNLV. Give us the kind of elevator pitch of your resume, so to speak, and I'll let whoever wants to go first chime in.
I'm happy to kick us off. I'm Anthony Ronca. He, him. I'm a computer science senior, and I'm currently a peer mentor in the College of Engineering. I know you didn't ask for my actual resume, but I love everything coding related, software engineering. I love it, and that's what I do.
Hi, my name is Em. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a senior studying as a psych major, and I'm minoring in couples and family therapy. I'm currently a lead peer mentor for the College of Liberal Arts. I'm a TA, and I'm the social media director for an RSO on campus called Low Key Art Therapy. And I've previously been a peer mentor as well as the president of Tonopah, which is a a residence hall on campus.
I can go next. My name is Darlyn. My pronouns are she and her. I'm also a fourth year, majoring in psychology and minoring in couple and family therapy. I am a peer mentor for the Honors College, where I also serve as the secretary for the Honors College. And I also am a mentor for the Grad Rebel Advantage program as like a co-mentor, where I teach and I give resources to other undergraduate students about higher education and graduate school. I do research with Dr. Brandon Eddy and Dr. Lauren Shaxton on the experience of postpartum depression within African American males. And I was able to do the Summer Research Institute this summer as a McNair Scholar, so that was really exciting. And I'm also a TA for one of the courses.
I can go next. My name is April Zangari. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a senior in studying secondary education with a focus in English. So I'm currently teaching high school English for the College of Education. I am currently teaching at Clark High School. I love the Chargers, so go Chargers in the Las Vegas Valley. I've worked as the lead peer mentor for the College of Education, the PALS program, for the past 2 years, but I've been a mentor for 3. So I've served as just a regular mentor the first year, and now I'm the lead, and I love that. I'm also a NITEP, Nevada Institute on Teacher Education Preparation Fellow, and I've represented them in various ways over the years, including doing workshops for MGM properties, as well as worked with a Chilean school over the course of the pandemic, where I got to teach in a STEM school virtually in Chile, which was amazing. I'm also currently working on a research project with Dr. Seaburn Coleman for the college the NITEP program, and I had the opportunity to speak at the Nevada Summit on Education actually yesterday, so I added that to my list of accolades as well.
Okay, my name is Ronnie Robinson. My pronouns are he, his, him. And first of all, I retired from a 41-year career with the military in 2018, and then started a undergraduate degree with the Lee Business School. I'm a senior now, and my major is management. As far as researching that I've been doing is researching ways to improve our peer mentor program that we're using. And as I've been working this semester with first year business students in a special program that we've had, and we've integrated another program starting transfer students for the Lee Business School. And I am the president of an RSO called the Lee Transfer the Lee Transfer Student Club, LTSC. And it's all consolidated into the program. So the club and the peer mentor program for the transfer students. And I'm engaging in their orientation as far as introducing the club and our program for transfer students as they're coming in every week all the way through the spring semester. So I'll be reaching out and working with them. So I'm kind of transitioning from the first year students right into the transfer students. And I've already had some contact in some tutorial sessions using Zoom. I invited them to get familiar with my UNLV application and specifically in academic planning and looking at the classes and things so that they have an idea of what to expect, what's going on.
Well, y'all are very impressive. Let me start with that. What a list of different RSOs, work, research experience on top of being incredible mentors and full-time UNLV students. So one of the first topics that I wanted to ask you all about is time management. You're booked and busy. You've got a lot going on. I wonder what you've learned about how to balance school with all of these great things that you're involved with on top of social lives and family and other relationships and self. So major takeaways or lessons about how you balance all of those things and manage your time?
I can kick off this question. Overall, I think my Google Calendar has really been my go-to, but at the same time, I really focus more on my assignments like the Sunday before like the week starts, and I will implement them into specific days of the week I want to complete them in. So they're not all just going to be doing like for me just to do them all on Sunday where I'm like jam-packed. So I really try to also implement small like activities or self-care, whether that's going to the gym, going and grabbing like frozen yogurt with my friends, or doing a quick little Starbucks adventure with my little sister. I think that's super important to kind of balance everything out, but still being able to prioritize school and overall your mental health.
And I can address that question as well. In my case, all of my classes this semester are online, remote learning, and so I've partitioned off the mentor section with my classes. So like the days I don't have classes online, which is basically Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are the days that I go on campus to work with students. And then I have Fridays left over, so I also put that into what I'm doing working with the transfer students, and so I can do Zoom sessions with them on Fridays. But as far as the time management tool that was just mentioned just earlier, I didn't come to really get familiar with Google Calendar until I started mentoring this semester, and I found it's a wonderful tool to really partition things off and manage my time. And it's like, so I just start adding everything in there, and I get a warning the day before and then 15 minutes before. So I think this is a wonderful tool that I wish I would have used a long time ago. And also I think that time management also comes into play with connecting with other students, not just our mentees, but the classmates in our classes. And so between Google Calendar and GroupMe, which is a group chat, I really that really helps me to manage time, because everyone is talking about all different things that's going on, and it's reminding me and keeping me on track. So connecting is one way to assist, I think, in time management.
Well, while we're on the Google love bandwagon, same. I also use Google Calendar. I also use like 3 other things to keep me on track. So personally, with time management, I like to say to my students too, and my mentees, that time management is not a destination; it's a journey. So one thing might work for you now, but it might not work for you in 2 months, and that's cool. So just keep adapting and being flexible to those changes. I've certainly had to do that as well. So I like to keep a physical old school planner, but I love Google Calendar as well. I also have a physical calendar and a virtual to-do list that I'm keeping at all times. So those different facets have definitely helped me manage a lot of responsibilities that we're all dealing with during our college years. And I find that, making those fun and pretty is something that brings me little small pockets of joy. So organizing my life with fun markers, stickers, pens might not be your jam, but if it is, then give it a go.
We all got to find those small little pockets. But I like what April said about being flexible, and that's actually what my advice is plan for bad days. I remember when I used to keep every hour allocated in Google Calendars until inevitably I have a sick day or a mental health day. In fact, I had a semester where I packed as many math and computer science classes together as I could. And guess what? I needed to have surgery and I was out for a week. Plan goes out the window. So allocate that for yourself, be kind to yourself, and realize you're human. Personally, I like a tool called Notion or a Kanban board. It's pretty much just a fancy to-do list. Do what you can that day, you know?
My lighting has decided to go all crazy on me, but I very much agree with what everyone has mentioned. But honestly, for me, being like organized chaos has probably been the best decision for me. I love to have only a few things that are consistent in my life, and that's going to classes and maybe a few like designated meeting times. But for the rest of it, I like to keep it flexible. I'm sorry, I can't see his name, but just like Anthony mentioned about life, throwing curveballs at you, you kind of just have to take it in stride and hope for the best. So I've learned that kind of allowing some inconsistencies in my life has actually helped my life be more consistent, ironically enough.
Lots of different tools. I'm hearing lots of different approaches that I'm hearing, but it sounds like one of the themes is that as much planning as we can do, we also have to remain flexible and adaptable. I wonder how you all have found what works for you right now. If it might change, like April said, a couple of months from now, but how do you find the thing that works for you, whether it's Google Calendar or some of the other tools that we're hearing about? Is it a matter of trial and error, or how did you land on that?
I think for
Definitely.
me, oh, go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
Definitely trial and error. I used to be the person who would, dedicate certain hours to certain things. Like every Monday at 2 p.m., I'm going to study for such and such class, and I'm going to do homework for that class. Unfortunately, like most classes don't always have consistent like homework days and stuff. So that wasn't working out for me. And I would have meetings with mentees or now mentors who would need to change times with me. And that can be stressful, especially when you don't have a lot of availability. So I've learned to kind of just open more time for myself and for people around me as well.
Yeah, so kind of going off what Em was saying, I think being very flexible, and also I used to use a paper and pen planner, and then I realized that a lot of my things were online, and it was just a lot easier just to be able to have like that virtual, if that's like on my computer or my phone, where I can just like instantly add a meeting, or I can schedule out some time with my little sister or my parents to go out and do something. Just instantly then and there is really easy access.
And I'd like to interject on that. I think there's a lot of principles here with when you're discussing short-term planning and long-term planning. And a long-term, you've always got a little wiggle room for adjusting. Short-term planning, you have to have a contingency or a backup plan. And of course, I took that away from the military. And for me, sometimes some semesters when I'm getting set up a week or so before the semester starts, and as I start laying out the classes on a spreadsheet, and like everybody was talking about, you know, that kind of falls apart real quick. And it's like, I think, and then I heard a lot of winging it also, and it's just basically just wing it, and it's like, you know, stay on top of things. My classmates in all my different classes, they, like I said before, the connecting helps me to like, oh yeah, we got this, and this. And so, and when it comes into balancing with the peer mentor, with the mentees, you know, keeping things as separate and or in a compartment, you know, as you can, so they don't, so one doesn't affect the other. And that's why I kind of like divided things down. Say these days are focused, you know, these are dedicated to this, and these days are dedicated to this. But flexibility, you know, contingency plan, and always expecting something that you think is going to go well. Okay, Murphy's Law, right? And it doesn't always work out that way.
One of the things that I think is really interesting is, and I haven't really thought about time management in this way before, is that it seems like the strategies that work for all of you are really related to your values or who you are as a person. Like I know Ronnie to be a very social person, and so it doesn't surprise me to hear that GroupMe or classmates really helps him with time management. Or I loved April's note about like colorful markers and being creative with time management. That really resonates with me. I'm so scared of like leaning into the chaos of things, but to hear that that's what worked out for you, it's really interesting. And so doing some reflection about what works for me in other arenas and how might I translate that to time management is an interesting approach. We'll be thinking about that moving forward. I want to shift gears a little bit and move into our next question. Obviously, we're heading into the end of this fall semester, and I'm wondering what strategies you're using, what things you're doing to finish out this semester strong and stay motivated in what has been a really long and arduous semester, a rigorous one. How are you staying motivated and making sure that you're finishing this semester strong?
I'll address this as far as it's not a real issue with the mentees and the mentor program because a lot of them are already in tune with remote sessions and things like that. And so we, like with our Business 103 first year seminar class, you know, it was kind of divided in half. Either they want to meet in person or they want to meet, like I use Zoom. And so they want to meet. So it's very flexible. But then when certain things happen, like the class was canceled or something, they easily were able to transition over and say, oh, we're going to get in Zoom with you since we're not going to campus. Okay. And so, but back on working through our requirements, okay, for the school year with all the up and down things happening, a lot of us are getting together and studying together, you know, online in Zoom, for example. And I have a close friend that's also a management student that texts me almost every day. to remind me, and then we get together and we study. So that's why I said connecting is very important. And then it's like you got some people that are just like a one-man team. So they they like to sometimes do it alone. And I just, when I hear that from students, I say, well, at some point that might break. And if it does, reach out, because there's a lot of students around you that are in the same situation. So it's like you can really, connecting is really important for me. I've been networking with people throughout my military career, which I'm still in touch with, and all those years. And it really is a great tool.
I love that. I love that. And I agree. I always tell my mentees, tell me how it is. Tell me like it is. Because I'm going to tell you like it is. And to pretend that this isn't a struggle, that college isn't hard, is a disservice, because I feel like it invalidates that process. So I think personally for me, more than anything, I have my eyes on the prize. I know I'm almost done. But even when I wasn't almost done, I would just say, oh, I only have this many semesters left. And that prize, that carrot I was running towards, was enough for me. I understand it cannot be enough for everyone. In which case I would say yes to more. Stop saying no. Fun is not a luxury, it's a necessity. So no matter what that looks like for you and your journey in college, make sure that you're doing those things so that you can stay strong, stay motivated, find that prize, that, whatever that next thing you're looking forward to is. It might not be graduation, because that is a big feat, but find small little ones to run towards.
And what April was going off on, based off of like small like successes and small things in life, I think overall burnout is real, and I think many college students experience it, and being able to normalize it is also important. But also, what can we learn from a burnout? And I think for me, I really learned that my morning routine is really important. So for example, like I love enjoying my morning coffee, so like that gives me 30 minutes of no emails, no messages, no homework. It's just me and like me thinking about how I will prep for the next day. It just like allows me to kind of refocus and kind of gain more of my purpose of why I'm here and what I want to accomplish.
Great answers, by the way. That's really hard to follow. But I just wanted to echo a similar message, which is remember your roots. I remember why I joined college and what I was really needing to get out of it. And it just drove me to the point where, once again, we're close. Where a lot of us are seniors. And I don't think anything could stop us now.
I agree.
Just to add on to that, definitely like compared to my answer, you guys blew it out of the water. Because for me, I was only thinking of this semester. So I was like, this semester, this winter break, it's all I'm looking forward to. I want to end on a good note. Like, I want my winter break to be relaxing and fun. It's going to be a big birthday for me. So I'm like just really excited for that. So thank you. And so that's what's motivating me. And it's honest and it's true. Like I'm just looking forward to getting that break. So I want to end on a good note, and that's what's motivating me to keep going.
Well, let me say that this is not a competition. We don't have to beat the person's answer who went before us. And I think you're all doing a great job of adding on to what you're all saying. I'm hearing a lot of really great strategies here. Keep your eyes on the prize, be goal oriented. I really love that. Love the notion of validating that things are hard, letting yourself feel those hard emotions, I think is really important. And when we're feeling these things, to Darlyn's point, to protect the things that bring us joy, to protect those times or those activities that we know are going to be rejuvenating or restful for us. So some really great strategies there. I appreciate those answers. A related topic in our next question about mental health and mental wellness. This is obviously a critical learning curve and a critical topic for all college students, and I would argue all people to be thinking about and reflecting on and learning about. What are you doing to prioritize mental health and your own wellness? And are there people or resources on campus or communities that are helping you to do that?
I think for me, practicing self-empathy was a huge key component for getting through this college career. I remember telling myself every time I got a bad grade, it's a marathon, not a race. There's so many times I thought, if I take this amount of classes, I could get done a year early, but it doesn't always work that way. Um, I think you just have to take it day by day, pick yourself up when you fall, and use the resources such as the SRWC. Um, and I had a pleasant experience with that. Definitely recommend it. So.
I'd like to address that. Next, I'd like to say, of course, the pressure, the stress, all these elements that affect your wellness um, comes from your unique situation. So a lot of you are working part-time along with not only just the mentor program, but doing other things. And a lot of students have, for financial reasons, they're working off campus as well. In my case, it was kind of like a release when I retired, because it's just like, I can do what I want to do, and staying positive, like somebody said, it's always yes, it's not no, and that really helps you your wellness in itself. Of course, we do have resources on campus, CAPS and so forth, that students can use. And we have done in the mentoring, we have done some referrals to CAPS, and it's a really good program for students. But when I'm talking to mentees, I'm always talking about positive mental attitudes. And I think that, seeing something negative and it's like, yeah, well, look at the other side and see the positive side of it and stay positive, and then if you need somebody to pick you up, reach out, to someone else, someone or to a mentor, to give you a different perspective on things. And I think that's what we're really here for too. Okay, but we're not counselors and so forth. So, when it gets to a point to where a person really needs help, okay, we point them in the right direction.
Great answer. I think that's really important that we talk about like our feelings and we talk about the stresses. I feel like once we kind of have someone else listen to them, and we will like have more of like a clearer mind of exactly what we're dealing with. And I think that's really important that you mentioned that. I'm going off with like of a community. I think for me personally, I really enjoyed running throughout the semester. So in the honors college, there's something called the Honors Rebellion, where we'll be running the Tough Mudder on actually this Saturday. So that's super exciting. But it's just overall a community where we work together, and I think that has really allowed me to remind myself that it's important to move your body and just have something fun to look forward to.
Yeah, very good.
I love that that's your journey. The running is not my journey, but I love that, and I think there's so much validity in that. Um, Honestly, for me, I think that, but I do relate to the community. I think that there is something to be said about someone that thrives off helping others and how that can be draining, but it can also be fulfilling as well. And I think the best way for me to prioritize my mental health and wellness is by speaking about the importance of it on a daily basis. So I speak about it with my students, I speak about it with my mentees, I speak about it with my friends and my family. And the more I preach it, the more I'm like, hey, let's look in the mirror a little bit and see how much we're actually doing for ourselves today and every day. So that's my approach to it. I love that though. And good luck on the Tough Mudder.
You know, what I really appreciate about answers to this question is that I think oftentimes a conversation about mental health ends at, well, you should practice self-care. And certainly self-care is important. Finding those ways that we can kind of nourish our bodies and our minds and our spirits, and the things that we can do to control our own health. Those are really important. But I also appreciate going beyond self-care and looking at how do we find and how do we cultivate communities of care, whether that's through something like my Tough Mudder group or by going to an SRWC CAP session or counseling and psychological services, or talking to my mentor, like Ronnie was discussing. So holding both of those things is really important. Self-care and communities that care for me and that I can care for. And so often, I think we just talk about self-care. So I appreciate you all bringing up those communities. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next question. We mentioned a few of the resources that you all use or provide to help students with their own wellness, like peer mentors or like counseling and psychological services in the SRWC. I think that there are a lot of students who are fearful or intimidated or just don't want to utilize these resources for a number of reasons. Maybe they don't feel like they have time in their schedule to dedicate to going to an office. Maybe it's scary for them to reach out to someone they don't know. Maybe they don't know where to start, don't know what resources exist. What advice would you give to those folks who so far have been hesitant or resistant to using the resources at UNLV?
I would love to throw the hat in. For me, I always tell that like my mentees and friends, etc. If you're nervous or scared or like sure of what resources are available on campus, talk to your peers first. I am very highly confident that you'll probably know at least one person that has gone to and knows how to use some of the resources on campus, whether that be, you attend an event similar to this one and you ask panelists like for advice, or talk to your classmates if you don't necessarily have like friends on campus, or your professors, advisors, etc. It's scary to make that first question, especially if it's for something where you're insecure about it, such as like maybe you're struggling in a class and you don't necessarily want to share that you are struggling. So maybe just kind of weed out, what resources are even available for, academics. Like, what do they even have? Like, make it casual. You don't have to say it's for you. But if you do, know about how the resource and know how to, access it, maybe you just want that extra support. Find someone you trust, ask them to go with you. I promise you that everyone here on campus is willing and wanting to help you. So just taking that first step, which is the scariest one, is the most I can recommend for you.
And I think I'd like to bring it back to what I was saying earlier about seeing it as like smaller feats that we have to get over rather than one big feat, right? That first step that we have to take doesn't have to be some monumental, huge decision. It's just a simple choice that you woke up that day and said yes instead of no. So I always say to my mentees that I know this sounds pretentious, but just do it. Please do it. Just try it. And remember that saying yes to something is not a legal contract. And so if you don't like it, then try something else and keep making those small decisions to try something else. And I love to preach, and I really do believe that volunteering to be a peer mentor back in 2019 now was the best college decision I ever made. By far, leaps and bounds. I think it has opened every door for me. And I definitely don't think I would be where I am today if I didn't make that choice. And I think most people don't believe me when I said I used to not make those choices for a long time, but I definitely do now. And it's because I just woke up that day and said yes instead of no.
Darlyn, I see that you're going to unmute, but I just April, I hope you know that I'm going to plaster that over all of my flyers from now to the end of time. So I'm going to hold you to that quote. But Darlyn, we can go over to you.
Yeah, overall, April, that was a really great statement that you said. Kind of like being a first generation student, I think I came into college knowing that mentoring was what I needed to seek out in order to succeed in college. So I was a little like hesitant and scared to reach out to like an upperclassmen and ask questions about their journey. But I think now, because of the online and like the hybrid system, I think it's a lot easier to access those resources. Like for example, like the Writing Center, you can really access that instead of going in person. You can just do a virtual session. I personally use the Academic Success Center during COVID because my time management, being on a screen every single day, was not very helpful, and I think I was not using my time wisely. So I seeked out that resource so they can kind of help me structure my day in time on and off the screen. So
You know, I would like to address that in a different way. We had a unique program this semester with the first year seminar in the business school. And so I was actually assigned to a class. So when I say my students, they're my mentees, the students in my class and attending their class. When I came into the classroom at the beginning of the semester, I'm aware of the fact that most of the students nowadays are digital, but I printed out copies of the resources on campus for everyone and handed them out when I introduced myself. And and then every meeting we talk about that. And it's like, yes, I've had some students that I asked, and it's like, okay, you've seen the resources, and this is before the middle of the semester. And it's like, so first talking about where they are with their classes and any hiccups or anything that's they need help with, you know. And so it's like, okay, so the first student's talking about, you know, trouble with math, and it's like, well, you know, over there on the second floor of the library, you can get into math tutoring. Okay, that's being conducted by the Academic Success Center, right? And things like this, and of course they have the math tutoring and other things. So talking to them, and so when we get to the middle of the semester, okay, the class actually had an activity that broke down on the students into like a pair and gave them a couple different resources, and they all left the classroom and they had to go around all over campus. Then they had to come back and they had to report what the goal was of that particular resource. And it's like that, and then that really gave me something to work with again, you know, to follow up. And it's like, so you know exactly what's going on around campus now. And it's like, are you taking advantage of it? And if you're not, why? Okay. And it's like, so if you're not having, if everything is perfect, okay, and you don't see, you know, and you don't have any use for the fitness center or anything over there, you know, then everything must be just perfect for you, and you know everything's going well. But I typically don't think that that's the case for everyone. So
Regarding to specifically students who don't have enough time, they feel like to access those resources, there's a train of thought in engineering that if you slow down, you'll go faster. And what I mean by that is cover your bases, take care of yourself, and you're going to sharpen your best tool, which is yourself. Get the tutoring you need to actually know the information, and then execute, or take care of your mental health, and then you'll be sharp.
very good.
I love that. I haven't heard that before, Anthony. That's it's tortoise and the hare, but in STEM. I,
Absolutely.
I'm curious. You know, sometimes we talk about resources very nebulously. What's a resource on campus that you've had a really positive experience with, or something that you've used that maybe surprised you, or just want to hear some stories?
Oh, I was a solo kind of student for a long time until I went to tutoring on the second floor of the engineering building. And then I just started hanging out there. It was a lot of fun. I saw my friends every day and I learned something in the process.
As an
Um,
English person, oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie. As an English person, nothing is more humbling than having to admit that you need help with writing. And the Writing Center is absolutely fantastic. Totally incredible people working in that center. Best experience I've had with a resource. So I always recommend that center. It was one of the more humbling experiences of my college career, but gosh, did it help with those 400 level English courses?
April, that's exactly what I was going to talk about also. I also was real weak, and I went there. My English 101 professor recommended to go to the Writing Center, and I just it was just the greatest thing that got me on track. And so when a student brings up, of course, that they're having difficulties, like these papers, it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's like, okay, they'll get you on target. Just go over there, make an appointment and talk to them. And it's like, from my experience, okay, and sharing my experience with them, it's the greatest thing. Yeah, and also the gym, I think they got one of the best gyms I've ever been into. And I took advantage of that when I was doing classes on campus, in between classes. But yes, that was great.
I think for me, my freshman year, I actually used the Career and Service Center. My resume, my in high school it was like a high school resume, but I knew that coming into college, I needed additional skills. I needed to structure my resume based off of kind of my leadership skills. So that really helped with organizing a different kind of resume for college until I was able to kind of build more of my activities.
I think Ronnie brought up a great point about the gym. There is this hidden oasis that I feel like a lot of people forget about, and that is the wellness zone. Not only do they provide free condoms and they are actively doing like sex education on campus, but there are massage chairs in the back, 15 to 30 minutes. Amazing. It's so good. Maybe after an exam, stressed week. Fantastic. I love them. It's very quiet. You come with some headphones. It's truly a dream.
Well, thanks y'all for those personal stories. I'll admit that I haven't tried the massage chair yet myself, so I'll have to add that to my UNLV bucket list, so to speak. I think that as the semester is coming to a close, and when we look back on the semester, a lot of us are going to be disappointed by how fall 2021 felt or how we did. Maybe we didn't perform how we wanted to academically, or we had all these goals for the experiences that we were going to have. I think especially for some of our first semester students, I wonder, is that feeling of I'm disappointed by this semester, is that something that you can relate to, an experience that you've had? And if so, what do you do? What do you do with that feeling of disappointment? How do you keep going?
I would love to jump in and get this answer out here. Um, you are not a sum of your disappointments, baby. That's what I always say, or your perceived failures. I don't believe in failure, so I say perceived. You are so much more success than failure, no matter what happened. And I try to tell myself that. I am quite hard on myself. And I know I often need to look in the mirror as well. But I love this metaphor that I heard recently, that a plant seed has everything within itself that can help them thrive. Like a seed already has everything it needs to grow. But the environment, the sunlight, the nourishment, can help that plant thrive. So you already have everything within yourself, to come back from that failure or that perceived failure. But surround yourself with people who uplift you and support and love you, and unconditionally so, that will support your goals no matter how big or small, whatever they look like, whether they agree with them or not. So when in learning from past disappointments, it's not simple, but not punishing yourself is the first step.
I'd like to jump in. That's a very good point. I've been a member of the National Society of Leadership and Success since 2019. It's a type of national honor society, and we have a very large chapter on campus. I'm working towards my executive certification in that organization, and some of the things that that really, like we talk to others about the tools that we have to avoid unexpected things or things going wrong and disappointment and things. And we work with short-term SMART goals and action plans to achieve those goals. And it's like I facilitated small groups of 5 or 6 the last couple semesters for the organization. That's part of their criteria. And it really helps to hear ideas from other people, and I've actually from take away from it helps me to examine, how I can better prepare. And it's like staying positive. And, for example, you're all pumped up for the semester, and they're talking about that you're going to have in-person classes. And so I've got an in-person class. And then 1 week before, okay, it gets dropped because they're switching it over to remote. Okay. It's like I was already prepared, mentally. And it's like, so analyzing everything, contingencies and thinking ahead, that can help you work through, it's like, oh, this just totally ruins my schedule. What am I going to do? No, being prepared. And so, and that's what I talk to others about. And it's like really mapping things out short-term academically. This is what, and it's like, I got to raise this grade. I'm not doing so well with writing. So my action plan is to go to the writing center. Okay. And then after that, a follow up, and it's, guess what? I got a really good grade. It raised my overall grade in the class. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen, but be prepared the best you can and stay positive, and that'll help you avoid being depressed.
For me, I think I'm definitely my biggest cheerleader, but definitely my biggest critic. So I think disappointment can be hard many times, but I feel like this is an opportunity for personal growth to occur. And I think when I did experience disappointment or failure, however you want to say it, I think that was an opportunity for me to self-reflect on what I did well in that situation and what can I improve on, or how can I respond to it, because there's going to be many like obstacles and challenges in college, but I think overall how you respond to it and how you react is most important.
I'm going to echo what I said earlier, which is it's a marathon, not a race. And I'm also going to use one more cliche, actually. It's a blessing in disguise, disappointment. So, for example, fun fact about Anthony, I used to be an English major, but then I got to Old English and it did not work out. I actually had to switch majors. I kind of failed, right? In my eyes, I thought I failed. But it introduced me to a new career that, as you know, I love. I'm going to be working in it full time, and I'm very happy doing so. And so I stand by that cliche.
Very good.
I absolutely love what Darlyn mentioned earlier. I feel like Eli probably knows this. I am a huge vouch for personal growth opportunities. I'm constantly talking about how failure and mistakes are great opportunities to grow as a person and expand yourself and your knowledge. So for me, embrace that disappointment. It's okay to be disappointed. You can be disappointed sometimes. Like, it's okay to be upset. But as long as you don't hold on to that disappointment and you decide to move on and grow, you'll be okay. Take the class again, take a different class, or change majors even. You can do quite literally whatever you want, as long as you aren't holding on to that disappointment and letting it grow.
again, so many nuggets of wisdom here. I think starting with the idea that our failures or our perceived failures, to April's point, don't define us, and that we can use them as moments to learn and grow, and that starts with understanding we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it, how we grow from it, and I think you speak to that really well. So thank you all. A couple of questions to wrap up here. I think that we're coming to the end of a fall semester right now, and that means that we'll be embarking on spring. In your experience, is fall and spring, are they different experiences? How do you prepare? How do you succeed differently in spring than you do in fall? And any advice you would give to students who may be experiencing their first spring semester coming up in a couple of months?
I would love to speak on this. One of the main differences that I think a lot of students aren't prepared for is the difference in breaks. Because in fall break, we have so many holidays, like whether it be just a Monday or a Thursday, like you have multiple holidays that kind of give you that breather, 4-day weekend, 3-day weekend, etc. But in spring semester, we don't necessarily have as many breaks. We have spring break and I think a couple like Mondays off, but it's nothing compared to fall. So definitely give yourself those weekends to just breathe, not focus on homework, not focus on work, and just do something that makes you happy, whether that be hanging out with friends or just binging a Netflix series or something. Give yourself those breaks that you wouldn't necessarily have.
And I have a different perspective on that. Typically, all the way through my undergraduate to this semester, I've been taking classes right straight through the summer, and so summer was joining spring and the fall because there wasn't really any time off, and so I really look forward to the spring semester because after the fall we've got the winter break, and it's like you're right about the holidays and everything. That is one angle, but it's nice to have that week off in March for spring break also, and get rebooted, so to speak. And so that's the way I look at it. But fortunately, this spring I won't be going into a summer session because I'll be graduating in May. And so I'm looking forward to the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Me too, Ronnie, me too.
Very
Um,
good.
and I won't be actually at UNLV next semester because I'll be full-time student teaching. So this is really kind of my last hurrah on campus. But genuinely, over the course of my college experience, I have personally found more success in the spring semester. Don't know why. I don't know if I can chalk it up to some good old vitamin C, but or D, whichever one is sun. Wow, I'm an English major. But yeah, but more, it might be seasonal, it might not be. I'm usually happier in the fall, but there's just something about my determination in the spring, that I just found more success. But either way, you can find success in either semester. It's not really so much about that as it is the work ethic, the drive, and looking forward to small goals, because I also do take classes in the summer. I have every year I've been in school. So I do look forward to winter break because it's not an option. And it kind of forces me to relax a little bit. But I do think that there's, you can set those smaller, happy moments. You can take a trip over spring break. You can take a trip during the middle of the week, do a staycation. We live in a great city to do a staycation. When I moved here, that was new to me. I did not realize how cool it could be to do a staycation. So, take those staycations, and find little moments for you.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pose our final question, kind of speed round to everyone. What's one takeaway or lesson that you've learned, either from this semester or from our conversation today? Because I know that that's where mine's coming from. So a lesson that you've learned this semester, something that you're going to take with you moving forward.
That's a good question.
I think for me, it's probably to spend less time watching other people enjoy their college experience and spend more time enjoying it for myself. So, really distancing myself from social media to a limit and to embrace all the cool things on campus instead of just watching other people enjoy it.
I absolutely agree with Darlyn. I'm graduating next semester too, and I've been doing my grad applications, and it's really kind of brought into light like my past, 3.5 years, soon to be 4, and it goes by really fast. And you're gonna regret not going to those events and like joining those clubs and actively being a part of the community that UNLV has. So I really recommend go. Go to those events, anything. Get the free t-shirts and the free food and join clubs that maybe you're interested in. You don't have to stay in them. That's the thing. Um, I would say do as many experiences as you can and really enjoy your time outside of the academic part as well.
So this question digs deep because I graduate in less than a month. And I'm excited, but also it's daunting, right? Because I'm going to leave college for forever. And it's made me realize that emotionally I'm ready to graduate. But looking back, I think it's a special time in your life that's unique and you should make the best of it. Because traditionally speaking, you're only going to get so much time in college before you have your degree. You should stop showing up, or maybe you work there. But that's what I've learned this semester.
I think I've learned the true meaning of don't sweat the small stuff. Um, yeah, stops crying over spilled milk and all those good cliches. I think I've truly learned what that means, having more on my plate than ever before. Especially this semester, I think that I've learned to stop punishing myself for those small disappointments and start opening myself up to joy.
I'll go ahead and talk about what I've taken away. Learning the community, as everyone's been bringing up different aspects about it. I've learned that, yeah, we finished the undergraduate, and of course there's the graduate programs available if that's the right path for different people. But then there's also other paths, and it's like I think the thing that I learned is it's actually an environment that I would like to work in too. And so, and there's always opportunities after you graduate on campus, because it's a really cool environment at UNLV, and it's a lot different than a lot of other places, a lot of other colleges.
Well, thank you all for sharing. I think one thing that is really resonating in my mind from our conversation, April, you said fun is not a luxury, it's a necessity. That took me out. I think we all need to be able to find and carve out those moments of joy and of fun. And sometimes, luckily, that comes in our work. I would count this conversation as one of those for me. I have had such a great time hearing from all of you and your expertise. And I didn't realize when we put this group together that we're also catching you right as you're heading out the door to a successful post UNLV career. So thanks to all of you near graduates for sharing your expertise and your stories. I know that I learned a lot. I know that other folks, as they listen to this panel, will learn a lot. So I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here today. And that'll end our time for today.